The war was not over for Derenhall when the Horde was eliminated. Many of its lands were occupied by orcs, and new clans kept coming from the wastes. King Victor needed to restore the borders of Derenhall to free his estate from the orcish scourge. Irand Fortress became the main orcish fortress in Derenhall. It was protected not only by the power of weapons, but by the magic of orcish hexers as well. Having decided that Irand had to be freed, King Victor enlisted the support of the Holy Throne and began the campaign. The orcish hexers' spells were the most serious obstacle on the way to freeing Irand Fortress. To help Victor, the Holy Throne sent one of its most experienced fighting inquisitors, who was to help find and kill the hexers. The king decided to meet the inquisitor near the village of Tondorf. Under the cover of night, King Victor's warriors secretly went over the pass and were in the village by morning. When the last orcs in the village were killed, the inquisitor went to meet the noble knights to inform them that he would be able to find where the foul orcish hexers lay hidden, and that he was ready to fight together with the citizens of Derenhall. The inquisitor also told them that it had become uneasy in the south after the coronation of Derek Fail. Miralia and Tersh, where the connections with the dynasty of the late Stefan were strong, did not accept the new king of Lorance. The inquisitor already knew that Dukes of Miralia were gathering the army to attack Silent, where Fail's main residence was once located. The inquisitor also added that the cavalier attitude of the Miralian dukes would not lead to a pleasant end. Having stopped before the hexer's body, the inquisitor thought that his mission was to eliminate all manifestations of magic which contradicted the greater power. But the world was changing. In fact, Great Inquisitor Dexter had recently ordered his men to cooperate with the mages of Silent. No matter how hard it was for the warriors of the Inquisition to make this fundamental change, the word of the Great Inquisitor was indisputable. The king felt no joy in entering a freed Irand. The fortress he saw practically lay in ruins. He knew it meant that he needed to simultaneously rebuild it and push back new orcish attacks. He needed to gather the garrison and arrange a food supply from the villages destroyed by orcs. After that, the king had to tend to the other lands of Derenhall, where orcs ruled absolute. Much work lay ahead. That autumn, the Grand Duke of Miralia, who refused to recognize Fail as the lawful king, declared war upon the kingdom of Lorance and the free town of Silent. 3 provinces which adjoined Silent simultaneously joined the Grand Duke. Miralia's troops soon assaulted and conquered Mar Castle, situated a day's ride from the free town. The Inquisition, wishing to preserve the throne for Fail, sent the Order's knights to liberate the castle. The High Priest himself led this glorious army. On the way to Mar Castle, the High Priest received a message from Fail. The king reported that he was mobilizing his veterans to help, but wouldn't arrive in time to take part in the siege, as a result of the raids on Miralia's light cavalry. The High Priest took it upon himself to liberate Mar without waiting for support. The liberated castle delightedly met the holy warriors. The inhabitants took up their instruments in song, and the keeper of the castle promised to raise funding from the neighboring villages as a tribute of 50 gold pieces, which would be regularly paid to the Inquisition. Soon, the patrolmen on the towers noticed the king's army, which was fast marching towards the town. The king was glad to see his colors flying over the castle. They meant the possibility of resting before facing down the enemy cavalry which followed his army. The self-proclaimed Wood Duke tried to escape, but was stabbed by his own people. For defeating him, the warriors received the blessing of the Holy Table. Baron Maraksky was defeated. For this deed, the warriors of King Fail received the blessing of the Holy Table. Count Shigersky has paid due penalty for his perfidy. For defeating him, the warriors received the blessing of the Holy Table. The warriors celebrated the victory, while their commanders planned the next battle. King Fael and the High Priest realized that the defeat of the leaders of 3 southern provinces wouldn't stop either the Duke of Miralia nor the noblemen of Tersh. A new war was about to emerge. Unsettling news about the battles with the elves came from the south, though Fael believed that Teia could not have betrayed him. The High Priest, however, didn't share the king's belief and ordered Senior Inquisitor Delan to settle the situation. Rich veins of gold were found by the dwarves not far from a mountain pass, which had become a famous place of battle between Ugram and Dwarnrock. Within a few days, the mines were dug, and the excavation of precious metal began. Soon, the news about the new gold fields had reached the humans and orcs. The mines were captured by the outsiders, leaving the dwarves to draw back into the mountains. Thane Dwarnrock had just overcome a severe wound and was keen to take his revenge upon the orcs. Having assembled some of his finest warriors, he traveled through an underground pass to the captured mines. After his defeat at the mountain pass, he knew he had to restore his authority among the dwarves. One final victory and 5,000 gold pieces collected for the clan's treasury would surely be enough to reassert his dominance. Having sent a messenger for help, the dwarves were sure that the assistance would soon come, but they had to hold out until the arrival of the main force and not allow the enemies to block the entrance to the underground tunnel. Dwarnrock emerged from the underground tunnels, followed by every one of his warriors. The time had come for the dwarves to lay waste to their enemies, recover their mines, and lay claim to the gold they held in such high esteem. Large, glittering piles of gold were amassed, and the dwarves let loose a hearty cheer. Shaking their weapons and crying out the name of Dwarnrock, they were prepared to continue the battle and bring the fight even further to their enemies. At that moment, news arrived from Quendelon. Teia, the leader of the elves, demanded that Dwarnrock gather his best warriors and promptly travel to the elven capital of Ildanor.